The bank teller looked at Carol. Then she looked back at the computer screen. Something about the transfer didn't feel right. She checked the information again. $10,000. International transfer. And this wasn't the first one. In fact, it was the fourth transfer this month. The teller slowly looked up at Carol. There was a pause. Then she asked a simple question. Ma'am, have you ever met this man in person? Carol smiled politely. Of course she knew him. They had been speaking every single day. Morning messages, late-night conversations, plans for the future. He had told her he loved her. And just that morning she had sent him another $10,000. But within the next hour Carol would discover something devastating. The man she believed she loved. The man she believed she would marry. The man she trusted more than anyone else. Did not exist. Carol was 53 years old. For most of her life, she had been careful. Careful with money. Careful with relationships. Careful with decisions. She worked as an office administrator for a logistics company in Ohio, a job she had held for more than 20 years. Her coworkers described her the same way. Dependable, organized, responsible. The kind of person who never made reckless decisions. But 4 years earlier, her life had changed in a quiet and painful way. Her marriage ended. Not with screaming arguments. Not with betrayal. Just distance. The kind of distance that slowly grows between two people over time. Small conversations disappear. Shared routines fade away. Eventually, two people realize something difficult. They are no longer happy together. So Carol and her husband divorced. The separation was calm, respectful. But when Carol moved into her house alone, something felt very different. The house was quiet, much quieter than before. Loneliness rarely arrives dramatically. Most of the time it appears slowly, in small moments. The empty chair across the dinner table. The silent television in the evening. Weekends that suddenly feel too long. Carol tried to stay busy. She visited friends. She called her children. She focused on work. But every night when the house grew quiet, she felt the same thing. Loneliness. And eventually that loneliness led to a small decision. A decision that would quietly change everything. One evening, a friend suggested something. Have you ever tried online dating? Carol laughed at first. The idea felt strange. She had never dated online before. But later that night she thought about it again. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to try. Just to talk to people. Just to meet someone new. So 3 days later she created a dating profile. Photos. Short description. Her hobbies. Her favorite movies. The entire process took less than 15 minutes. Carol didn't expect much. Maybe a few conversations. Maybe a friendly connection. Maybe nothing at all. But 3 days later, she received a message. Hello, Carol. I came across your profile and you seem like a kind and genuine person. His name was Daniel Foster. Daniel Foster. His profile picture showed a man in his early 50s. Gray hair. A calm smile. Professional appearance. According to his profile, he was a civil engineer working on international construction projects. There were photos of him at construction sites, photos at airports, photos inside hotel rooms. Everything looked normal, ordinary, believable. But what really caught Carol's attention was the tone of his message. It was polite, respectful, calm, not overly charming, not pushy, just thoughtful. So Carol replied. At first, the conversation was simple. Where do you live? What do you do for work? What kind of music do you like? But Daniel had something many scammers understand very well: patience. He never rushed the conversation. He never pushed Carol to reveal anything too personal. Instead, he listened. He asked about her childhood, her hobbies, her favorite places to travel. And more importantly, he remembered the details. Small details. The kind that made Carol feel like he truly cared. 2 weeks later, something interesting happened. Daniel began sending voice messages. His voice sounded calm, warm, friendly. Sometimes he laughed. Sometimes he spoke slowly, almost thoughtfully. Carol began to look forward to hearing that voice every evening. Soon their conversations became part of her daily routine. Every morning she woke up to a message. Good morning, Carol. I hope today brings you something wonderful. In the afternoon, he would ask how her workday was going. And late at night, they often talked for hours. 6 weeks later, something changed. The conversations became more personal, more emotional. Daniel began sharing details about his past. He told Carol that his wife had passed away several years earlier. Cancer. He described the hospital visits, the long nights waiting for test results, the moment he realized she would never recover. Carol felt her heart ache reading those messages. Because she understood loss. She understood loneliness. And something inside her opened. For the first time since her divorce, she allowed herself to feel close to someone again. 3 months after their first message, Daniel sent a text that made Carol pause. I think I'm falling in love with you. Carol stared at the screen. Her heart was beating faster. Part of her felt nervous, but another part of her felt something she hadn't felt in years. Ho. Eventually she replied, and admitted she felt the same way. From that moment on, their relationship changed. They talked about the future, about meeting in person, about traveling together, about building a life. But there was one detail that always complicated things. Daniel worked overseas. He said he was supervising a large construction project in Turkey. Because of that, his schedule was unpredictable. Internet connections were unreliable. Video calls rarely worked. Phone calls were difficult. Most of their communication had to happen through messages. At first, Carol didn't question it. After all, they spoke every day. They shared photos, voice recordings, stories, plans. Everything felt real. But that small detail, the lack of video calls, would later become extremely important. 4 months into their relationship, Daniel sent a message that felt different, more serious, more urgent. He explained that something had gone wrong at the construction site. A piece of heavy equipment had failed. The replacement parts were extremely expensive, and because of a temporary banking restriction overseas, he could not access his company funds. Daniel said something very important in that message. I hate asking for help, especially from someone I care about, but I don't know who else to trust. Then he asked a question. Would you be able to help me with a small loan? The amount was $2,000. Carol hesitated. She read the message several times. $2,000 was not a small amount. But Daniel had never asked for anything before. And by that point, she trusted him. So she did something she never imagined she would do. She sent the money. Daniel responded immediately. He thanked her again and again. He promised he would repay her within days. He said she had saved him from a terrible situation. Carol felt relieved. She believed she had helped someone she loved. But unfortunately, that was only the beginning. At first, the requests were small. $2,000. Then $3,000. Each time Daniel sounded embarrassed, almost ashamed. He always said the same thing. I promise this will be the last time. And every time, Carol believed him, because by then their relationship felt real. They spoke every day, sometimes for hours. He knew the names of her children. He remembered her favorite restaurant. He even reminded her to take her vitamins. Small details, small signs of care. The kind of things that slowly build trust. And trust is exactly what scammers depend on. Over the next few weeks, their conversations became even deeper. Daniel talked about the future. He said he was tired of working overseas. He wanted something simple. A quiet life. A home. Someone to share breakfast with every morning. Carol could picture it. A small house. Weekend trips. Watching movies together on the couch. After years of loneliness, the idea felt almost magical. Daniel even started talking about marriage. Not immediately, but someday. Soon. When the project was finished. When he returned home, he told Carol something that made her heart melt. I think we found each other for a reason. Those words stayed with her, and every time she sent money, she told herself something simple: I'm helping the man I love. 5 weeks later, another problem appeared. Daniel explained that expensive construction equipment had been held at customs. Government taxes needed to be paid before it could be released. The amount was higher this time: $5,000. Carol felt uncomfortable, but Daniel sounded desperate. He promised again that everything would be repaid soon. So she sent the money. 2 weeks later, another emergency: $7,000. Then another: 3,000. Then another: 10,000. Each time there was a logical explanation: unexpected fees, travel delays, temporary banking restrictions, technical issues with international transfers. The story always sounded complicated, but believable, especially to someone who trusted him. Around the 5th month, Carol noticed something strange. Whenever she suggested a video call, Daniel had a reason it couldn't happen: bad internet, broken camera, strict work rules, late work hours. At first, it didn't seem important. After all, they still spoke constantly. But slowly, those missed video calls became a pattern. Still, Carol ignored the feeling in her stomach, because doubt is uncomfortable, and hope feels much better. 6 months after their first message, Daniel shared exciting news. The construction project was almost finished. Within weeks, he would finally return to the United States. Carol felt nervous, excited, almost like someone preparing for a first date. They talked about where they would meet: a small restaurant, dinner, maybe a walk afterward. Daniel even talked about visiting her home, meeting her children, starting a new chapter together. After everything she had been through, it felt like life was giving her another chance. 2 weeks before Daniel's expected flight, Carol's daughter came to visit. They sat together at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, talking about life. At some point, Carol mentioned Daniel. She described their conversations, their plans, their future. Her daughter listened quietly. Something about the story felt strange. Then she asked a simple question: Mom, have you ever video called him? Carol hesitated. No. Her daughter leaned back in her chair. She didn't want to upset her mother, but something didn't feel right. So she asked another question. Mom, have you ever actually spoken to him live on the phone? Carol thought for a moment. Mostly voice messages, rarely live calls. Her daughter opened her laptop. She said something that sounded harmless. Let's just check something quickly. Her daughter uploaded Daniel's profile photo. Then she performed a reverse image search. For a moment, Nothing happened. Then several results appeared, and the room became very quiet. The photo belonged to someone else, a completely different man, a real engineer, a man who had never spoken to Carol. His identity had been stolen. His photos had been copied, used to build a fake life, a fake relationship, a fake love story. Carol stared at the screen. Her mind refused to accept what she was seeing. It didn't make sense. 6 months of conversations. 6 months of trust. 6 months of emotional connection. Could all of it really be fake? Carol immediately tried to contact Daniel. She sent messages. Several. Then more. No response. She tried calling. Nothing. Within hours, his profile disappeared. The account was deleted. The messages stopped. The voice recordings were gone. And just like that, he vanished. 6 months. More than $80,000. Gone. Carol later reported the scam to the authorities. But unfortunately, romance scams are extremely difficult to investigate. Many of these criminals operate overseas. They use fake identities, fake phone numbers, fake banking accounts. By the time the crime is discovered, the money is usually gone. Carol was not naive. She was not careless. She was simply human. And that's exactly what these scammers rely on. They don't attack intelligence. They attack emotion, loneliness, hope, trust, and the desire to believe that love can appear again, especially later in life. If you meet someone online, especially on a dating platform, there are a few rules you should never ignore. First, if someone avoids video calls repeatedly, that is a major warning sign. Second, if someone claims to be working overseas, be extremely cautious. This is one of the most common stories scammers use. Third, if someone you have never met in person asks for money, stop immediately. No matter how convincing the story sounds, no matter how emotional the situation feels, love should never require secret money transfers. And finally, always verify the person you are speaking with. A simple image search can reveal the truth in seconds. Romance scams are growing every year. Thousands of people lose their savings, not because they are foolish, but because they believed someone cared about them. If you or someone you know is dating online, share this story. Talk about it. Awareness is one of the strongest protections we have. Because sometimes, the most convincing love story is actually a carefully designed scam.